Welcome back to another episode of the Sam Portland podcast. Wherever you are in the world, I hope you are enjoying your time with me, and the episode that I have for you today inspires you, promotes your intellect, and challenges you in a way to make you a better athlete or a coach. Today we've got an episode coming straight out of the Sam Portland YouTube channel, and if you are not already a subscriber there, then you need to head over there immediately. Just follow the links in the show notes, because some of these episodes are drawn out on whiteboards, are ridiculously crazy and insane with speed geek knowledge bombs. So if you've not done that, just subscribe. But trust me, you are going to get a lot out of this podcast today just by listening. So without further ado, let's head over to the show and enjoy your time with the Sam Portland podcast. Hey, welcome back to another video. I'm Sam Portland, and today we are going to talk through probably one of the reasons why you are not reaping the results that you want from your speed training. It goes back to this process from Verkhoshansky, and this is the relationship between your process of motor learning, so actually kind of understanding the skills that are required and the specific skills that are required for movement and the transfer of that onto the field, and your rate of adaptation. So at the top here we've got preparedness, and across the bottom we've got output in competitive task. Now for the purpose of today, we're going to look at the competitive task. Could be effective acceleration, so 1, 2 to 5 steps. So that is the task that we are trying to prepare the athlete for. And when we are astute coaches, and actually how we're trying to be deliberate in our ability to create speed on the field, that we need to contextualize the task that we are trying to create. We need to compartmentalize our process of coaching in order to create sustainable transfer and purposeful deliberate adaptation. It's very, very important that that is at the paramount and the forefront of our brains as we approach the programming problems and the training coaching situations that we are faced with all the time as coaches. So what I want you to understand first is this adaptation. So when we are understanding this gap here, there's a huge disparity from the starting point. So our initial output in the competitive task is incredibly low. Okay, so we've got this huge window of adaptation. So for example, we've all learned a new skill before and we're not very good at it. And this goes back to the fundamentals of skill acquisition with the cognitive, associative and autonomous phases that are proposed by many skill acquisition experts. So we have high rates of forgetting. So we can practice a wall drill, for example, or a one-step push, and then come back the following session and then we've completely forgotten about it. And this is understanding that the output in the competitive task there is incredibly low, purely based on the fact we don't know how to do it. It's unconscious incompetence. And in the sports speed system, that ties us really perfectly into the learning to sprint phases of the process. So as we progress, we are understanding the goal is to meet the process of motor output, okay, and the adaptation will meet in the middle. And the end stage is actually what happens is then that skill or that exercise or that process that we've been deliberately practicing at. Remember, deliberate practice is a fundamental coaching for creating sustainable transfer. What happens here is that the motor learning and the adaptation have met in the middle. So therefore that element of training ceases to have a high rate of susceptibility or a high dose load response relationship. So therefore what happens with that is then it becomes redundant, which is great for us because we've increased our level of trainability and transferred out into the next phases of performance, which is amazing. So understanding how we implement this, when we've got a high rate of forgetting, so the athlete doesn't really know what to do, it's very novel and they can't demonstrate, as Bernstein's hammer, they can't, with degrees of variability, they can't demonstrate that they can kind of do it over and over again. It's not landed, cemented well. So that's where we have to keep it really simple, really basic, really consistent and high volumes, but slow relative to the scale of speed. So we can categorize, right, well, this is the exercise that I'm going to use, this is the frequency, this is the process, and this is the goal of it. Goal 1 is just learn to do the exercise to increase the output in the competitive task. So then as we move up, this relationship is going to decrease. The ratio between being not very good and the output is going to decrease because we're going to get better, and that will then improve the output of the task. Gives us a high degree of specificity and a high degree of transfer to actually what we want to do. We want our athletes to be able to run fast on the field and train specifically to improve that. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed today's video. I hope that made a lot of sense to you. Please leave me a comment below. Please engage with this so I can help and ask any questions that you want, because this is really important. It's a fundamental premise of the Sport Speed system, and a big thank you to Yuri Verkhoshansky of the Shock Method, who first introduced this methodology into the Western training world. So I just want to stop you there and say thank you so much for listening to this podcast. And today I want to talk to you about education. Education is the cornerstone of my development. It's the cornerstone, or it should be, of your development. And if you're here listening, then I can pretty damn sure say that you are a speed geek, speed freak, and want to get more for your time. And as a coach, I completely understand you aren't time rich. Being a coach is stressful, it's intense, and to keep upskilling yourself is really, really challenging. I remember one time when I flew to New York for 48 hours just to hear Natalia Verkhoshansky speak, because it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And today I have a pretty cool opportunity for you. It's called the Sports Speed Insider, which is central focus about maximizing your time and putting speed back into your education, with lessons that are just 10 minutes per week of me deliberately giving you actionable speed training tips, advice, and ways to implement my very well recommended book, The Sport Speed System. You are going to have no stone unturned. Alongside the weekly tips, I'm also going to be providing you with the actual training programs that you can use, steal, and it just be inspired from. And if that is not it, I'm also going to be breaking down specific exercises for you throughout the course. So that's one 10-minute lesson per week, one training program per month, and a monthly exercise breakdown so you can understand and really drive into why we do the things that we do. So if you want to get involved with that right now, then head to the link in the show notes and get your speed journey started today.